Timmy, where's Lassie?
She's out in the orchard, Ma. Peaches are coming in mighty early this year.
Woke.
You know what they say, Timmy. Early peaches, long summer.
Woke.
What's that, Lassie?
Are you woke yet?
Look, I know for some, Stellar Blade is correcting a lot, but for me, it simply isn't enough. We have an industry-wide problem, and one Eastern developer is simply not enough to fix it. It's not a slight against Stellar Blade, it's not a slight against anyone, it's just a reality. If you think the gaming industry isn't going to triple down on SBI, well, then I have a bridge to sell you in Baltimore, but you're gonna have to take it in pieces.
That's messed up.
And funny enough, it's not the only time we're going to mention bridges in this video. Now, it's no secret that Western game developers don't exactly treat women favorably when it comes to how they decide to portray them in video games. There is a strange obsession, and honestly, it's happened one too many times to call an accident. Just be real with yourself for a second. You can have your entire woke mindset and your ultra-lefty politics. Go ahead, that's fine. But are you really going to deny the reality of this? It is obviously coordinated. Game developers are very open to how they don't want to portray females as something appealing to the male gaze.
More specifically, I'm talking about our female characters. And whether we want to admit it or not, these are role models. And yet we sexualize, we objectify, we marginalize, and we reduce these female characters to a lot less than they can be. And this is coming from a guy that almost made a really misogynistic game. So I kind of know what I'm talking about. So once this thing failed and I had this awakening, almost exactly at the same time, this Kickstarter happened about the tropes versus women in video games. And while you might argue with the way it delivers its message or whether every point is exact, you can't argue with just the pattern that you see in the industry. So I was really intrigued by this. The videos for the video games hadn't come out yet, but I watched the rest of Anita's videos, and I realized it's not just a problem in games, it's actually throughout entertainment.
Is that the issue?
You tell me, what is the issue?
He's a fat.
And?
Now what am I supposed to do?
Virtually impossible to do unless, of course, you make them ultra ugly. Because I'm guessing their plan is to have the characters so unappealing, so unattractive, you're forced to listen to the story and pay attention to it instead of the female.
Homer, my face is up here.
I've made my choice.
Which makes no sense because Nier Automata is the type of game that disproves any of that, blending a beautiful body type with an excellent story that gamers remember more than 2B's cheeks. Obviously, not every single character has to be a 10 out of 10. There is room for plenty of other types of characters in media, but one wonders why in a fictional setting must they be limited to quote-unquote realistic beauty standards? Now, call me crazy, but maybe ugly people aren't the ones who should be setting beauty standards, much like how a health minister shouldn't be insanely overweight and unhealthy. I mean, if I have to explain the implications of why that is, then this would be a 4-hour-long video, and most of you don't even want to stay tuned in for 6 minutes of me on average, so let's not do that.
Because of the implication.
Instead, what we are going to do is take a look at the next facial assassination they pulled off. Star Wars Outlaws, a game you're probably familiar with. I mean, anybody who's stayed loyal to Star Wars as a franchise up to this point is a case study in their own right. But nonetheless, if this game has been on your radar, you're probably not too thrilled about how the whole game isn't actually on the disc you're going to purchase at launch.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
Whatever. That's not a deal breaker to the majority of folks out there. If you don't have internet and you own a console, you've practically removed half of its functionality. I do believe the full game should be on the disc and you should be able to access it the minute you buy it, but I guess they couldn't pull that off with this one. Every person who purchases it is forced to check in. Oh, but hey, if you're excited, you'll be even more excited to know there's a season pass to go with it. Because season passes for DLC is totally not a sign of cut content. No, not at all. Okay, minus those things because A lot of games suffer from that. What ultimately matters is whether or not the game is good, and gameplay-wise, I like what I'm seeing. I hope it runs well, but the last few Star Wars games didn't exactly have the best performance. We're gonna have to cross our fingers on this one. Then again, a lot of that was captured in-engine, and not all images are going to appear in-game. And the latest trailer was all just cinematics with zero gameplay. Not a good sign. Maybe you should cancel your pre-order there. After all, it is all digital, so it's not like you're gonna run out of copies anytime soon. Maybe we should all just wait for this to release. After all, it is being pitched as a Ubisoft open world game, and we usually know how those turn out.
Name a game you're proud to have. 100% completed.
Hey Ubisoft, why don't you name a game you have completed at 100% before releasing it?
Does that mean nobody should give it a chance? I don't think so. There could legitimately be something good here, but I'm not gonna feed you toxic positivity. You could go to Jack Frags, who received a sponsorship for this game, if you want that toxic positivity. But you're watching Fritangadoesn'tplay. We're not paid by Ubisoft, so I can say wholeheartedly, Jesus Christ, what the f is this ugly abomination? What is wrong with you guys? No, seriously, it's not even close.
He's not a good-looking girl. He's a very beautiful man.
It's like they took the model they scanned and they added a Frost from G4 filter. How is it possible to butcher it this bad? How is it possible to make her look like she's 18 and 60 years old at the same time? It's off. It doesn't look good. She looks like a recovering meth head. Oh! Did somebody say meth? And again, I'm only able to say this because it comes with the privilege of not being a sellout like your favorite content creators. Here I'm just spitting you cold hard facts. This isn't as horrific as Mary Jane's outcome. It's not the most hideous thing in the world, but it's definitely a massive downgrade from the original actress. That cannot be denied. Why it happened, I have no clue. Again, look, here is the original actress, and here is her video game counterpart. They gave her a goddamn butt chin, they emphasized those cheekbones, they gave her the Mary jawline, absolutely massacred her eyebrows, and gave her one of the ugliest hairdos in the world imaginable. Like many on Twitter pointed out, she looks like goddamn Rod Stewart. If you like my body and you think I'm sexy, honey, won't you let me know? Honestly, the new angles on her in this trailer just aren't helping. I cannot, for the love of God, figure out what happened. Ever since the United States could no longer identify what a woman is, it's as if they legit meant it and don't actually know how to sculpt one anymore.
Missing a lot of fake outrage for the protagonist of Star Wars Outlaws. We're here to play games, and you're misogynist. Just say so and be done with it.
What are you, gay?
Fool, did you think this image was going to help your point? It looks like a recovering crackhead. What's with their nose? This image is just awful. Awful. A far cry from the original actress. Word on the streets is she's not bothered by it, so no one is being hurt here, well, other than people's own eyes. But likewise, we're allowed to not like it and reject it. It's not a crime, yet on social media, it's treated as such. You know none of these folks would be okay with it if they butchered Leia's appearance in video games. But for anyone else, without a familiar face, it's perfectly okay to just look hideous for no reason at all. And the worst part is the people on the internet telling you, what, she looks just like her actress. It's spot on. She looks fine. No, she doesn't. This is the same attitude gamers gave me towards Mary Jane when they eventually finally came to accept that no, Mary Jane did look awful. I don't even know why they added the Peter Griffin chin. What was the purpose of that? Why did they add a facial feature she doesn't have? I mean, this is about the only picture I've found on the internet where you can kind of see it, but it's just grossly exaggerated in the game model. I don't know why. they definitely took liberty with exaggerating her facial features because it's a night and day difference. You can see areas where she resembles the original actress. You can also see where they've decided to hit her with the ugly stick. Now, that doesn't mean the game is doomed from the start. For many it does, but not for me. If the gameplay is good, there's a lot I can look past. However, what I can't look past is the other female character they've decided to completely butcher. And you know who I'm talking about. You've been playing her for over 20 plus years just like I have. Lara Croft, who sadly had her entire franchise sold off to a soulless entity like Embracer Group, but then I was actually given a different perspective by an unexpected voice. Many on this channel know her as Melody Mac, who, honest to God, surprised me with this take. And she's kind of sort of convinced me that, yeah, I guess the franchise is in better hands than it was with Square Enix. Because the root of the problem was always Crystal Dynamics. It's why this pointless board game even exists, I guess. I mean, come on, Crystal Dynamics, you couldn't at least give us a Gex board game instead? I would have definitely played a Gex board game instead. But unfortunately, in our timeline instead, we have Tomb Raider Shadows of Truth. Oh my f***ing God, what am I even looking at? Yes, because that's what everybody's been anticipating, a tabletop role-playing board game made out of Tomb Raider instead of another Tomb Raider game. This looks like an update for Apex Legends. I didn't think this was a full-on Tomb Raider tabletop game. I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea of a tabletop Tomb Raider game, but what the hell did they do to her arms? When did Lara Croft ever have the arms of somebody who sits down and drinks Budweiser all day and eats Cheetos? People say, I like my muscle women. They ain't muscle. Those are some of the most masculine, thick, fat arms I've ever seen them put on Laura. What happened? What is this design? It amazes me that people couldn't see it.
Who are you expecting? Tiny Tim? Wait. Big Auntie.
Now, decreasing her physical attraction isn't new. They've been doing it for countless years now, slowly moving us away from the design we originally liked. But, you know, what are you supposed to say? It's about the gameplay. Okay, well, you know, at least is the game still about raiding tombs? Tomb Raider Series 2, escape its colonial past. British adventurer Lara Croft will transition from being a raider of tombs to a seeker of truth, as Evil Hat Productions and Crystal Dynamics seek to redefine the Tomb Raider series in order to escape a history wounded by colonialism, according to an excerpt from the official Tomb Raider Shadows of Truth RPG rulebook. Raiding as depicted in the original Tomb Raider games and stories involves going to ancient tombs and historical sites of different civilizations and acquiring artifacts. It operates on the assumption of finders keepers that grants raiders with the means and the drive to claim ownership of artifacts, regardless of whether they have any historical or cultural claim to the treasure. Later games released in the franchise have started the work of addressing this by having Laura acknowledge her past mistakes and try to understand and show respect for the cultures and communities she comes into contact with. She has also worked to reform raider culture and raise the awareness of her peers. Laura no longer decorates her mantle with mythic artifacts. As a raider, she prioritizes seeking out the truth. Much of this game is inspired by her humanity, struggle with heroism, and her tenacity. We believe that all three aspects are an important component in creating a game that celebrates history and culture while acknowledging the respect and work required to live in a world wounded by colonialism. In this game, we seek to continue that work alongside Crystal Dynamics by creating a sandbox for you to tell stories that address colonialist themes in play and create your own stories of respect and support for the people and cultures your seekers encounter. Whoever asked for this? Whoever asked To have Laura one day wake up and realize, no, colonialism bad. No more shooting skeletons, fighting off dinosaurs, evading deadly booby traps, and fighting off waves of dangerous treasure hunters. We must acknowledge the political ramifications of this fictional goddamn universe. Oh my god, you can't be for real. Who the hell are these assholes? Again, they all look like they would be in the next update for Apex. They don't look like they belong in the world of Tomb Raider. Who's this fat chick that doesn't even have legs? Oh my god! Oh my fucking god! I dare you. Seriously, I dare you to tell me this is not the results of DEI. Go ahead, try. Try your absolute hardest to try and gaslight us into thinking politics are not affecting our games. That's fucking bullshit. I know a lot of people who talk about this subject are cringe themselves, and maybe that's what turns you away, but at some point you're going to have to admit the dude across the street that seems crazy isn't so crazy. Maybe you weren't sold on the Star Wars one, but you definitely are sold on this Tomb Raider one, and you know it. Just imagine you're sitting there playing GTA 6, you pull out a bat, and you go to bash it over some random lady pedestrian's head. And right as you're about to land the bat on the back of their head, you get an in-game prompt reminding you that violence against women is bad. Here are the stats for abuse. Consider what you're doing. All right, now go back to playing your game. I know that sounds far-fetched. I know for many of you, you're thinking that's a slippery slope fallacy, Frit. Is it though? We've gone from Tomb Raider to consider colonialism bad Raider. So much so that they don't even want the games to be the point of what they were to begin with. This is absolute lunacy, and consumers absolutely have a right to speak out against it. Don't feel guilty. Don't let them trick you. Don't let them gaslight you into thinking, oh, you're just being sexist. Oh, you're just being misogynistic. Oh, another bigot. No, the whole point of Tomb Raider is basically in the name itself. And the developers reject that idea. So we have a right to reject their project, reject the ideas they bring forward, be critical of them. It's all we have left. Just like this channel is all I have left. So if you want to help me, then like, comment, share, and subscribe if you so choose to. I'm gonna go die in peace, and that being said, I'll see you on the next one.
Fritanga sucks ass.